let us all do we can to build a better future.
You know, I get a lot of pushback from people who say, why are you so difficult? Why are you so angry at the Democrats? Why do you criticize them? How come you don't go after Republican politicians? My answer is always the same. What can I say about the Republican establishment that has not been said already? I view both parties as one and the same. But with the Democrats, they put on this fancy mask of neoliberalism. They have the lights, the camera to make them look good. They say things we want to hear. And look, hey, I'm going to be honest. You know, they're talking about things that I like, you know, Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness. But I know better, and so do all of you, that that's all a lie because they'll never follow through. They always keep on asking me for money. They always keep on asking if I'll vote. And the thing is, the Democrats, I saw your actions in 2016 and onwards in regard to how you treated progressives. And I was severely disappointed with people like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and the squad. After seeing how lackluster they were, especially in 2021, when they were nowhere to see with the force to vote, March for Medicare for all, the fight for the minimum wage, and the 3-day General Strike Summit meeting. I mean, why do I need to sit here and explain to my audience, oh, you guys got to vote Democrat because Trump could get into office? Donald Trump is coming around. Donald Trump is going to come back and destroy democracy. I'm tired of the fear of Trump. Trump is not the end-all, be-all threat to democracy. He's not. He truly is not. There are other politicians who have done far worse things than Donald Trump. And already we're seeing so many people say, we got to get more people to turn out to vote. Or, Kit, you need to inspire people to turn out more people to get excited about Democrats, and then we could do change. I'm not going to tell my audience to vote Democrat. All of you will have to make your own decision on what you want to do on election night. That's up to you. It's always been up to you. And you should never let anyone bully you in regards to how you're going to vote. So I want to give a huge shout out to Compton J, who was able to capture this little lovely thing, because Sammy Boy Cedar, the vote blue no matter who crowd are out of ideas to trick workers. The lesser of two evils is impossible to sell when the lesser evil is genocide. Sam Cedar takes a call from someone in Michigan, and the caller says it's becoming impossible to motivate people to mobilize for Democrats. What do you suggest? Sammy says, I don't.
To get out.
Yeah. Let's see how he answers. He says, I don't know, but there's a little bit more to it, folks. Are you ready to laugh? I am.
It's kind of hard to motivate people, especially after this Israel-Palestine latest flare-up, to get out and mobilize for Democrats. I'm kind of worried about the 2024 election because of stuff like this. I find it's more of a problem with younger people, but it includes older people too, in all generations that I've encountered. And I'm just wondering, like, what do you guys think is a good way to motivate progressives, disaffected progressives and leftists to get back involved in politics? So, yeah.
I mean...
Okay. Before he answers, Democrats, especially the vote blue no matter who crowd, in 2020, a lot of you were on this campaign of aggressively bullying people or scaring people, making us be afraid of a second Trump presidency. Okay. You kept saying that our infrastructure was going to fall apart, that there was going to be climate change disasters, that there were going to be man-made disasters, that there was going to be war on the horizon, our economy was going to fail, women were going to lose the right to choose, there was going to be more instability at the border, there was going to be more political and social instability worldwide. And it all happened under Biden. Now, it didn't matter who sat on the throne. All these issues and things were going to take place. But the difference is, vote blue no matter who. You kept promoting Biden as the magical cure-all person who's going to return the soul back to the country, but nothing fundamentally changed. It got progressively worse. That's the truth of it. We have a horrifying situation happening in this country where there are people who are afraid and very concerned about how they're going to make it past tomorrow. That's the key word. How are they going to make it past tomorrow? And I see the same things in my audience across the political spectrum, because I'm very proud of the audience that we built here at Hard Lens Media. It's very diverse. People have different opinions here, but there's one thing certain. People are struggling on how they're going to make it past tomorrow. Vote blue no matter who. Why are you surprised that people aren't showing up in massive amounts to support the Democrats? It's because there was no follow through.
I think, look, I think it is always best to be organizing locally and based upon local issues. I mean, how are you going to get people enthusiastic about the 2024 election? I don't know. I mean, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone was saying we got to vote Biden because Trump. Now you don't know. Because everyone sees Biden is falling apart. The Democrats don't have any solid ground to stand on. The Democrats are just faltering left and right. They're screwing up. And the only way the Democrats can actually win this is if enough people do turn out to vote. But even then, voter turnout is decreasing. Voters aren't inspired. There was a reason why there was such a big rush for the Democrats. It's because of the 2016 and 2020 Bernie Sanders campaigns. And of course, the 2018 midterm election cycle. But as soon as all of that began to fizzle out, so did the enthusiasm. Everyone was told to shut up, fall in line, be pragmatic. Stop shaking the apple cart.
I think,
is Tlaib in your state or stuff like that? Because that's what my first thing would be like, if there's good Democrats on the issue who've, say, called for ceasefires, say you want to help empower the coalition that they're a part of. And, that's basically where I'd leave it.
I mean,
yeah, that's kind of the track I've been taking. I mentioned progressive candidates that are on the ballot in 2024. I called in like a week or two ago about Hill Harper, who's running for Senate in Michigan. But I also, point out especially in Michigan, the Democrats, even though not all of them are as progressive as they like to say they are. I mean, we got a clean energy bill passed this year that was one of the biggest.
Yeah, clean energy bill. And what's that going to do? Hey, how's that improved your wallet? Did that put any extra cash in your hip back pocket, folks? The answer is probably not.
In the country, along with a lot of other state victories. But there are some people, I think, that have become kind of just ideologically and fundamentally opposed to doing electoral politics at this point.
Well, I mean, look, I don't, I understand people being against electoral, exerting that much of an effort in electoral politics. I mean, I just don't think there's that much effort associated with. It's one thing to ask them to, organize around something like that. I think that's a hard lift, frankly, right now. Asking them to actually take an hour or two to go vote doesn't seem to me to be that big of an ask of anybody. Some people, as Trump, becomes more prominent in our society again, might be more inspired to go out and organize.
Yes, just Trump. That's the only reason why the Democrats are going to be relevant. It's because of Trump. That's the only reason why the Democrats are ever going to be around. It's because of Trump. He's the gift that keeps on giving to the liberal establishment. That's the only reason why Democrats should be grateful that they have Donald Trump, because people will be stupid enough to vote Democrat because of one person and one person alone, Donald Trump. And that's it. So in other words, Democrats and corporate media, without Trump, you're nothing. But why should people be enthusiastic to join you? Because I know what you're going to say, Democrats. Let's say Trump gets into office. Let's say Donald Trump sits upon the throne. I know what's going to happen. There's going to be, of course, the emotional protests and everyone else doing that because Donald Trump's back in the White House. But then number two, we're all going to get emails saying, hey, please give us money so we can protect a woman's right to choose. Hey, give us money so that we could stop these wars that Donald Trump's going to do. Hey, give us money so that Donald Trump isn't mean at the border. Well, what are you doing now to stop all this? Democrats, Roe v. Wade died under your watch, Democrats. It died under the Biden-Harris administration. And don't give me that excuse of Trump's Supreme Court justices. Obama, if he wanted to, and he could have put in his Supreme Court pick. He could have told Ruth Bader Ginsburg to step down because at that point, her health was failing. We already knew, look, everyone has a time. And she was quite clearly nearing the end. She was a setting sun. But oh no one wanted to be that guy. Obama didn't want to be that guy to tell Ruth Bader Ginsburg, all right, doors open. You got to leave. Get on out of the Supreme Court. You got time for you to retire. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I mean, Democrats, all of this could have been avoided in theory, but they didn't. And to those little pink pussy hat people, okay? I remember all of you saying that you would be in the streets 24/7 protesting. You're too probably fat and lazy after drinking all those mimosas and eating all that brunch, right? But as soon as Trump gets into office, y'all are going to be down there on Michigan Avenue, right in front of Trump Tower here in the city of Chicago or wherever else. I know all of you are going to show up en masse for that, but not now.
So that he does not become president and that the Republicans don't have the ability to pass legislation. But for those people, organize them locally. I mean, it doesn't, electoral, if your only ask of people is to go vote and trying to organize, 10 months out, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, organize around a couple of issues that you're trying to push. And the electoral stuff is secondary.
Yeah,
oh man, it sounds so defeatism right there, man. You sound so sad. You sound so sad.
I agree with that, and I think that it's part of the problem is it's harder to deal with people that are just disaffected and not interested, or have been kind of soured on participating. I know activists that have done a lot of Bernie Sanders campaigning and like other, leftists or progressive campaigns. But yeah, I think that's all good stuff. So thanks, guys.
Oh God, man. That sounds so sad. Sounds so sad. I want to pull up this other video here too, because Democrats need to come to terms with the fact that they have a rigged system. Shout out again to CJ, Compton J, Beyonce and Jay-Z, aka Kyle and Crystal, recruit Marianne Williamson to run and finally have to admit that the charade is over. Folks, the dream is over. The Marianne dream is over. I know it's over. But let's hear what these two have to say.
Big news. Marianne Williamson. Campaign over.
Oh man, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah,
what are your
so
thoughts?
Officially suspended. I mean, I just have to say, like, I have nothing for love for Marianne as a human being, for the courage that she showed at a time when no one else was willing to step out, at the incoming that she has taken. So, I mean, listen, I can nitpick about this or that, or, issues that I would have approached. I think she deserves all of the respect and admiration in the world for being willing to take this on. I think she has exposed what an anti-democratic shambles the Democratic Party is. I mean, it's just from the jump collaborating.
Wait. We already knew this. It wasn't Marianne who did that. I mean, a lot of people exposed it. I mean, shout out to Nico House and everybody else in 2016, or the aftermath of the 2016 election cycle, in which they were putting the screws to the Democratic establishment for exposing the fact that there was election fraud taking place. I mean, there's a lot of people who were part of the Bernie Sanders campaign of 2016 and 2020 who were showing it. All right. There was a lot of people since then who've been shining a light on it. I think Marianne Williamson definitely owes a huge, I'm sorry, or needs to write a huge detailed letter to Revolutionary Blackout Network, because they were explaining to her why it was a waste of time. But Nick gets yelled at because he was mansplaining.
With their media organs, making sure she didn't get a good fair hearing, that people had no idea she was even running, that, there were states where they just decided we're just not even.
No. People knew she was running. It just no one was inspired and no one cared. And number two, getting on the ballot was key. And a lot of us in independent media brought up to the fact that that was something she wasn't worried about. And, she went through a lot of campaign managers. There's been a lot of stories in regards to how she deals with her staffers. Yeah, there's a lot of things to that. So no, Marianne Williamson is not this great martyr. Okay, don't make her into that.
We're going to have a primary. We're just going to anoint Joe Biden. So kudos to her for putting herself out there and doing everything she possibly could to give Democratic voters and the American people a choice, especially, Kyle, at a time when how many videos are we seeing on like a daily basis now of Joe Biden completely unable to formulate a basic thought or telling stories about foreign leaders that died decades ago, thinking that.
But so many people, especially people like you guys, we're so against Trump because we can't have a second term of Trump, right? Can't have that, right? Come on. We all knew that there was something wrong with Biden in 2020. Everybody knew it then. It's just right now, you really can't hide it at all, period.
That they're still alive and well, or not able to even find the word Hamas in order to explain his response on a potential ceasefire. It's just, when you look at this, you're like, what the hell are we doing? And so, just absolute kudos to her at this point for having had the courage to at least give it a shot.
So just a few things to point out real quick.
Yeah.
She and her campaign were blocked from getting voter data in various states after already paying for it.
That's right.
And then they refused to give any sort of refund after the fact. She was blocked from talking to various college Democrat groups in various states.
Which is why everyone was saying running in the Democratic Party is a waste of time. Okay? If you want to waste your money, fine. But you can't sit here and act like you weren't told, like how what RBN said to Marianne Williamson, just like how even Jimmy Dore said to Marianne Williamson. You're wasting your time. Everybody is part of the Democratic primary right now. You're wasting your time. Dean Phillips, Cenk, stop it. Stop it. Just get help, or either that run as a third-party candidate, okay? Do something more constructive.
As you alluded to, there were 4 so far Democratic primaries where they canceled it up front. In one instance in Florida, everybody went. It was Dean Phillips, Marianne Williamson, Cenk Uygur went to go sign up on a certain day, and they go, "Oh, sorry, the date passed." They're like, "What are you talking about? The date is in like a week from now."
Right.
And they're like, "No, but we changed it without telling anybody."
Right.
And so now you can't get on the ballots. These are very, very anti-democratic moves. There's a lot to criticize there. But beyond that, the biggest factor to me, and I think there's legitimate criticisms of her and her campaign. There's certainly things you could point out, like, hey,
yeah, like the fact that she wasn't able to get, make ballot access the key thing, that she, was running in the Democratic primary, which was a waste of time, that maybe she would have been better supporting a third party candidate, or either that running as a third party candidate as an independent, which look, hey, I would have given a little bit more respect to her campaign if she had done that. But you're running in a Democratic primary. I've seen this not once, but twice. And so have you, Kyle, Sam, everybody else who's part of the Vote Blue No Matter Who crowd. We've all seen it. Former Bernie Sanders supporters, you've seen it. Tulsi Gabbard supporters, Andrew Yang supporters. We all saw it in 2020. The game was rigged from the start. The Democratic establishment will always pick their pick. They're not going to pick what the people want. If you're voting in the Democratic primary, it's nothing but a participation event.
You could have done this better or that better. But to me, the biggest factor was, I always say this about the media. The difference between the media loving you and hating you, it's a big deal, but it's not that big of a deal, because as long as you're getting some noise around your campaign, it can spark a backlash effect where people start to love you, even if the media is shitting on you 24/7.
Yeah.
In the case of Marianne, what I feared the most is what happened, which is total indifference, wall of indifference. They pretend like you don't exist. And in a scenario like that, it's pretty much impossible to break through.
That's right.
So after watching this campaign, my takeaway from it, and I've said this on my show as well, is that I fear that in order for a lefty to actually win, it needs to be either somebody who's super undeniable, like Bernie Sanders, who was a senator,
who was a cuck and let the DNC run over him purposely, and sheepdog people in the Democratic Party
for 312 years before he ran, because it's like, he's a senator. What are you going to do? He's just serious in the political game, whether or not you want to acknowledge it. I think they could even disregard and disrespect Congress people. That's what happened with Dean Phillips. They're like, you're a peon. You're nobody. Get out of here. You would either need a senator, or you would need an A-list celebrity, maybe a B-list celebrity you can get away with, in order to break through. So if somebody like Jon Stewart ran, the media wouldn't be able to keep the cameras off of Jon Stewart because he's super entertaining. He already has that gravitas.
It doesn't matter who you have. The DNC has the final say. Super delegates. You You really think that this is how it's going to go down, Kyle? We just gotta wait for another Bernie Sanders moment, person. So in other words, here's what they want. Here's what they want. They want us to patiently wait for another Democrat like Bernie Sanders to come along. So we gotta be like this. Do 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 do. That's what we got to do. That's what we have to do. That's what they want, liberals and leftists, everyone else. That's progressives. That's what they want you to do, just to wait and be patient. And there'll be another Bernie Sanders person that you can waste your money on. Isn't that special?
And charisma about him.
Right.
And so that would be undeniable. But after watching this unfold, that really is my ultimate conclusion, is that they are always going to disrespect the left. They're always going to swap the left aside, act like you're unserious, act like your candidates are ridiculous, pay you no mind whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I think they actually learned the lesson of Bernie Sanders a little bit when they realized our hate fest almost didn't work, that, he still got like 45% of the vote with us hating on him relentlessly.
True.
So they went the path of indifference, which they felt like they could get away with when it comes to Marianne Williamson.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, the way out of it, I think you need either a senator who can sneak in and be taken seriously, or an A-list celebrity. And at that point, I'll take either the love from the media or the hate, because either one, I think, will create a backlash effect and make it so that people, actually give this lefty candidate a chance. But to your point, yeah, Biden can't even talk anymore. Every day it's a new gaffe. Every day his policies get worse and worse. And I do think, look, I hope I'm wrong about this, but I do think there will come a time where people look back and they go, damn, Marianne Williamson and Dean Phillips were kind of right. And they were stepping up to the plate here when nobody else would.
Oh, God. Okay, enough of this. Holy cow. What reality are you living in? Seriously, what reality are you living in? The progressives, leftists, were always disrespected by the Democratic Party. And for those who have wisened up, left, because no one wants to be in such a one-sided match. No one wants to be in a one-sided scenario in which the same result happens over and over again, and that is the DNC picks who they want. The DNC selects who they want and disregard anything from the people. Now, Bernie Sanders, in theory, could have done so much more if he actually had a backbone, if he actually fought the Democratic establishment, if he actually called out the election fraud that was taking place during the 2016 and 2020 Democratic primaries, but he didn't do it. He didn't say a single thing about it. And in 2020, all Democratic candidates had to sign a loyalty pledge. And everybody was so afraid of Donald Trump. Everyone in the candidates kept on saying, yeah, any one of us can beat Trump. Because of course, you can't have internal fighting. And the Democratic establishment and they had, I'll give this to 2020. Democratic establishment, they knew something wrong was with Biden. He was their first choice, but they kept trying to throw anything at the wall and see what would stick. Would it be Kamala? No. Pete Buttigieg? No. Bet on my stork? Beto O'Rourke? No. Anybody. They were trying anybody. Even Amy Klobuchar? No. And Bernie Sanders they didn't want. And Bernie Sanders was still willing to play ball with the Democrats. But it all came down to Biden. Just like how the Democrats way back in 2016 wanted Hillary. It's a one-sided fight. Why would anyone want to waste their time in it? Why do you think there's a lack of enthusiasm? Because people saw how they're going to be treated. And if you treat people like crap, of course they're not going to come back. And people gave this warning to Marianne Williamson. People gave this warning to Dean Phillips. Hell, I do hope that people gave this warning to Cenk. Cenk, remember the last time you ran for office for Congress? And what the Democrats did to you? And look, while I'm not a fan of Cenk, I'll say this, what the Democrats were doing to him was wrong, but why are you participating in the Democratic Party? The people in the squad who are part of Justice Democrats no longer even show up on your show. Kyle, does a squad show up on either of your shows with you or Marianne? Oh, Crystal. Oh boy, I confused the two. That makes me a bad person. My God.
I mean, they've never looked more prescient than right now. And I think it's only going to become more clear that they were canaries in the coal mine. I mean, they were sounding warnings that are coming true before.
No. Crystal. Everybody, and even you guys to an extent, were giving that warning. Don't waste your time in the Democratic Party. I mean, have you forgotten? I know none of us have forgotten.
For our eyes. I mean, not only... Listen, Dean is basically, and this is why it's not just about the left. It's just anyone who was going to challenge Joe Biden, because Dean Phillips is not a leftist.
Right.
And his whole case is basically like, I agree with Joe Biden on basically everything.
I'm just young.
But this guy is about to die before our eyes, and he's going to lose to Donald Trump. And check. Like, it's really very difficult to deny at this point. Biden is losing in every key swing state. There's no real plan to make up that ground. This is the first time since 2004 a Republican has consistently led in the national polls. It's just utterly pathetic. As I mentioned before, we're watching in real time as his brain like melts out of his ears. It's sad. It's getting to the point now. It's getting to like Dianne Feinstein levels where I don't even feel angry as much at him as I do the people around him who are enabling this as effective elder abuse. Like, that's the level that we're getting to in terms of what is.
Stop copying Hard Lens Media, Do Dissidents, Jimmy Dore, INN, Revolutionary Blackout Network. We've been saying it. Yes, this is elder abuse. Hell, my audience has been saying it too. Why? How is it you guys are coming to this conclusion already?
Public appearances look like. So absolutely right there. But then also on the policy front, it's never been more clear that the more leftist positions that Marianne has staked out, where she has, made clear breaks from Joe Biden on economics and on foreign policy, that is also incredibly important and was also incredibly prescient. So, like I said, nothing but kudos and admiration to her. And also, listen, Dean Phillips, we had, back and forth with him on Israel. I had that with him a couple of times, but kudos.
Yeah, hey, ask Marianne Williamson her stance on Israel, right? I remember that interview with Revolutionary Blackout Network. Ask her about that. Oh, probably not want to talk about that.
Kudos to him also for stepping in and being willing to do it. The fact that he was a congressman that no one really heard of meant that he also could be basically ignored. And to your point, Kyle, CNN, they gave town halls to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who stepped up in the Republican
Watch the language
side, whether they're getting 0% of the vote or 1% of the vote or whatever. Marianne and Dean Phillips at times were polling, significantly higher than that in the Democratic primary, and it just was completely ignored. MSNBC didn't even have Dean Phillips on until after the South Carolina primary was already over, and had the nerve to be to him like, oh, well, why didn't you do better? He's like, this is literally the first time your viewers even learned that I existed. Rachel Maddow had some segment, I think on the night of New Hampshire, where she was joking around about, oh, I'm so proud of myself that I know Dean Phillips' name because he's so irrelevant. And she's called Marianne Williams, got her name completely wrong. It's just.
And this is why third parties right now are becoming front and center, because everybody knows that the Democratic primary is a waste of time. So vote blue no matter who. You're running out of ideas. I've done this comparison before, and I'll say it again. You're like Wile E. Coyote. You keep trying to do the same trick over and over again to catch that little rascally roadrunner, and you keep failing at it. You keep failing at it because the roadrunner is Trump, and everybody knows the Democratic establishment needs Trump. Honestly, here's probably what's really happening behind the scenes with corporate media and the Democratic establishment. They secretly want Trump to get back in the White House because it's good for money. It's good for their money. It's good for them because then they could fundraise off of fear. They could fundraise off of what Donald Trump will say. They'll do it. Corporate media needs the views. Corporate media was saved by the Trump presidency in 2016. He made more people tune in to CNN and MSNBC. So many media people were able to earn a quick buck by doing the next, oh no, Trump did this. Uh-oh, Trump's going to jail. Uh-oh, the walls are closing in on Trump. Is this the end of Donald Trump? Trump did this. Trump did that. Oh no, Trump is going to do this. Trump is saying this about who? And the media was loving it. And the Democrats, they were loving it. How many times did all of you get emails from the Democratic establishment from 2016 through 2020? Hey, folks, let's have democracy in the chat. How many times did the Democrats reach out to you because Donald Trump was a huge threat? Type 1 for a kid. I never got an email from the Democrats. No. Type 2, I regret ever giving my email to the Democrats. They won't stop. They keep asking me for money. They're worse than beggars on the street. They keep asking me for money. I'm tired of it. I wonder how many 2s will get in the chat. I wonder.